Hi, it's Don, Don's Old Garage. This video I'm going to bring you up to date a little bit what I'm going to do. Here is the best starter that I've worked with 3.4. I know the armature needs work on this. It will run, but it runs part-time. So I've ordered a whole new kit to rebuild this starter. So I'll be taking you through the process of how I rebuild this starter. Also I want to touch on, as I've mentioned before, I'm often trying to work on several parts of the car at the same time. If you look at this, this is a taillight extension for the left-hand side of the car. And I've been working on that whole taillight part. I've got this part done, but I need the extension done. So I just picked parts to work on. If you look right through back here, you'll see how I've been working on that back fender to get all the little dents out and work on perfecting that fender. So I think of a lot of you, as you work on your own vehicles, you work on this little part. When you're waiting for something, you'll work on another part. Anyway, I want to tell you that I'm going to put a clip down below in this next video of the gentleman I found the parts to repair this starter. He lives back east and he's amazing. He has the best service, the best customer service. He's a one-man shop. He's already called me at least 2 times to help me figure out what exactly I need to rebuild this starter to make it like brand new. So I want to highly recommend him, and if any of you are going to work on a starter, he's the place you want to look at parts. I'm also going to put a couple of spots on of people I found that really show you how to go through and rebuild the part, so you'll have extra references just besides mine. Because I know I've used them. If you're going to do one of these, you know, you'll want to use it. And the thing that I'm finding, you know, when I started this, I said, I didn't know what I was doing. The bottom line is, anybody can rebuild a starter and save quite a few bucks. So anyway, I'll go on with this video with a few more shots as I start to disassemble it, but let's get to it in just a second. This starter does not have the original Delco Remy sticker on it to identify it. It does have some numbers here. It has 3502, and then I think this is 47393. Now I don't know if that was the person who rebuilt this before stamped those numbers in or what, but I'll look up those later and see what we're doing. First, I'm going to take the switch off the top. This is a new switch that I bought about a month ago, and so it's a good switch. And as always, we want to put the screws and stuff into place so we don't lose them. We know where they go. So I've got a little box over here where I can do that. One thing I'll mention about this screw here, my suggestion is you always want to put this switch on the starter before you install it in the car. Trying to put this screw on the switch when the starter's installed in the car is a really tricky place. There's not much room, it's tricky to get in there. So it's always better to do it beforehand. Okay, let's put that to one side. Okay, next we're going to take a 3/8 wrench and start removing the bolts from the back of the starter. A couple of turns to get them loose. And usually we can kind of get them out. This I've had in and out a couple of times, so I pretty much screw it out with my fingers. The one on the bottom. Now, as I indicated a little bit ago, I've ordered a whole new series of parts so I can completely rebuild this starter. New armature, new fields, everything else. Now, from the last time I did a video I asked some questions, and I had a really nice fellow. I'll put his name here in the bottom of this video here in a minute. That told me what the problem was. I said, you know, it starts and then it won't start, and I have to rotate the armature around and get it started again. He said, that sounds like you've got a bad armature. I'm hoping that the field coils are still pretty good in this particular starter. Now, one of the things I have to be very careful when I take this off is to get it off. The fields are connected here, and there's a wire that connects to the brush, and there's a wire that goes across from this side to this side. And I want to make sure I know where that wire is. So I'm going to remove this part. I'm going to remove the armature. Set it aside. I'm going to make sure you always save the spacer. And then I want to look inside and see where that second wire from field to field, where it wraps around on the inside. Field coil. And I got fooled on that one, on the last one. Now I see it. It'll be hard for you to see, but it goes here, wraps around the bottom from here all the way around to the field on the other side, and that's where that wire goes. So I'll show you that in a minute here. Let's disconnect the brushes from the field. We want to make sure we don't lose that screw if possible. Okay, so you know this wire's loose. See how that's started to come apart on that side? Let's get the one on the other side. Get my hand out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, this should come straight out, and here again is that I can show you that secondary wire. See, it wraps all the way down around here over to the other side. So when I put this back together, I want to make sure, see, that it wraps from here down around. See, it kind of goes underneath here, over here, and look right here. See, it looks like this has been rubbing here, and there might be a short part. So that wire, if I can't replace it, I'll need to fix that wire. So I'm going to now set this down here and start to work. I have a whole new set of braces to hold the brushes and springs. I have a whole new set of brushes for this to replace the brushes that are in here. And I have some bearings if I need to replace the bearings. Here's one of the new brushes that fell inside there. Okay, I've now moved in a little closer so it'll help it be easier for you to see what I'm doing. If you'll notice this brush here, here's the brush, here's the holder, and the wire goes directly to the case. So this is a brush that's grounded. So when we take this apart, and sometimes these screws are pretty tight. Oh, that was not bad. Okay. I can pull that back away from there. I need to make sure that this is a brush that goes to the grounded part. And one of the ways you can tell is because there's a screw hole here. The other thing we have to do is we have to get this spring. See, the spring has a detent here that holds it in place. And we need to lift this whole holder off. Now, looks like I might have a problem I had with the last one. We'll see here in a minute that this had been pinged over so it didn't come off easily. Well, we'll see what we get. It's gonna come. Okay, so here it comes. And you see the spring is snapped in here. And the thing you want to watch when you take this off is notice how the long part of the spring is over the top, and the part of the spring that snaps underneath that's going to connect to this detent is up here. So when you put the new spring in, you want to make sure you put the new spring in the right position, like this. Okay, that's old spring. I'm going to set it aside. That brush doesn't look too bad. And that's interesting. I'm going to have to do some work on that because the head of that screw, the little notch, has disappeared. So I'm going to have to take that apart in a minute because, oh, and look at how loose that was. That wasn't good. So that'll take a new screw to take care of that. Well, let's move on to the next one. Okay, here's so you can see that the wire that connects the field, it goes to this brush. So see, the field has the power, the positive power. In this case, it comes through to the coils, comes through here to this brush. And so this brush and the wire that goes to these are the two positive brushes. So let's remove this wire. Before we have to do that, we're going to have to take the screw out of the brush. Sometimes you got to kind of move things around so you can get to them. There we go. Boy, that one was pretty loose too. Now probably what I'll do, I'll get a couple of these out, and then as I'm taking the others out, I'll just speed it up so you don't have to watch me do the whole thing. But one of the things I want to do is point some points of interest out that you need to pay attention to, so when you're putting this back together, you make sure you get the right. Let's see, look at the length of these screws. Okay, that's important. Okay, now that brushes out. That one's not awfully bad either. Obviously a little more worn than the other one, not too much. Okay, so here's the wire going across now to the other side. Right now I'm going to remove this holder. So again, I got to pop the spring up off that detent so I can start to remove the lifter. There we go. Now if I work it a little bit, I should be able to get it off. Okay, so again, what I'm going to do is note the position of the spring. It's the same on each one of these. And I'm going to pull the spring out in the way to show you how you would put it back in. Okay, see, now here's the wire that connects to the other brush, positive brush, but it goes under this wire here. So what I need to do is going to have to take the screw out to remove the grounding wire. And notice the screws that go in here are much shorter than the last one I showed you. See the length of the screws? These are the ones for the brushes. These screws are the ones that hold the ground connections to the motor. See, now I can lift that up. I can come right over here to this side, and then when I disconnect the brush on the other positive brush, if I can get the screw loose, there it goes. Again, see, that's a longer screw. Here is the wire that connects the two positive brushes that connect to the field. And again, I tried to point out to you earlier, oh yeah, look at that. That's worn all the way through, so I'm definitely going to have to put some heat shield or something on this to reseal this wire if I use it. Oh, here's another spot. So that obviously would have been causing shorts in this starter, which would have caused definite problems. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get the rest of these off. Here's the end of the starter where the brushes and whatnot go. And I want to show you what I've done with this piece. I really cleaned it up. All these posts were very rusted, and I took 600 wet and dry sandpaper and went over and got the rust and cleaned them up and did all these other parts. And so I'm kind of pleased with how this looks. Spots on of people I've found that really show you how to go through and rebuild the part, so you'll have extra references just besides mine. Because I know I've used them. If you're going to do one of these, you'll want to use it. And the thing that I'm finding, when I started this, I said, I didn't know what I was doing. The bottom line is, anybody can rebuild a starter and save quite a few bucks.